Hello and welcome, everybody. I appreciate you all joining us tonight. I am Nathan Moxley, and I am the Communications Director for the Libertarian Party of Texas. And with us tonight, we have Shannon Thomason, the Mayor of Big Spring, and Jessi Cowart, who was on the Texans for Jorgensen team for the state of Texas, and Cara Schultz, who is our candidate recruiter and a city council member up in what city is it, Cara? I'm sorry,
Burnsville, Minnesota.
Burnsville, Minnesota. And I appreciate all of you guys being on tonight for this panel and this discussion, and look forward to some good conversation about how we can do a better job of identifying and running for nonpartisan municipal races. So what our objective here is to basically talk about ways that, as the Libertarian Party, we can get people started in the process of becoming more involved in elected office holder positions and just getting involved in the political arena, not necessarily through the Libertarian Party, but getting libertarians onto ballots in their municipal areas. Some first things, some good information to write down, some things that I think are worthy of discussion would be that the fact that there is an election coming up in May, on May 1st, and the application deadline for that is February 12th. We have already started the application window. It opened up last week on January the 13th here in Texas. And that was the first day that you could apply to be on the ballot. And there are some certain steps and procedures that you have to take to get on the ballot. And so what I would like to do is turn it over to Shannon Thomason and let him talk a little bit about that process. So Shannon, go right ahead.
Sure. Well, as Nathan said, the May elections in Texas are all nonpartisan races. So anyone can apply, anyone can be on the ballot, and there is no distinction by party in the May elections. So if you want to separate yourself out by your party affiliation or conservative, liberal, libertarian, whatever, it falls on you as a candidate to do that. So the first form you're looking at, and Nathan had it up there just a moment ago, is the application for a place on the ballot. Now, I know our city secretary here in Big Spring actually puts together a really nice packet book for candidates. So as often as not, folks in Big Spring will come to City Hall, pick up the packet, which includes the application and the campaign treasurer appointment form, as well as calendar, ethics rules, advertising rules, whatnot. But every city does it a little differently. That's just the way Big Spring does it. But the first form is the application for a place on the ballot, and that is exactly what it means. It for a municipal election, like I said, there's no declaration of party. So basically, you fill out the basic information, and in municipal races, the filing requirements, at least in Texas, are, for the most part, set by the city charter. So if there are any requirements, restrictions, for instance, residency requirements, requiring you to live in a district that you might be representing, those would be included in your city charter. For school board and other boards, such as hospital boards, are nonpartisan typically. A prime example here in Big Spring, Howard County is Howard College, the board of directors for our junior college. is a nonpartisan right. So the application for a place on the ballot is really pretty self-explanatory. You've got to list your name, the name you want them to, how you want your name to appear on the ballot, the office you're running for. The big thing really is making sure that you get the application notarized and that the officer verifies that you have sworn the oath, which is basically at the bottom of the form. The next form would be the appointment of a campaign treasurer, which again is a pretty simple and straightforward form. With regards to campaign treasurers, in smaller races, you can appoint yourself as your own campaign treasurer, which is completely legal in the state of Texas.
Is that pretty common, Shannon, that people would appoint
in smaller
themselves?
races? Sure, where you're not dealing, with a whole lot of money in a race. Smaller towns or smaller races. Yeah, that's not uncommon at all. In fact, I have appointed others as campaign treasurers in the past, and this most recent time, I just appointed myself and kept up with it myself. You really want to make sure you familiarize yourself with the Texas Ethics Commission's campaign finance guide, so to make sure that you don't get into any pitfalls. Big thing is make sure you've got those campaign ad disclaimers on campaign materials. Another big thing is making sure that you've got not only the campaign disclaimer on like yard signs, but something else that goes on there is a TxDOT, Texas Department of Transportation disclaimer regarding placing those signs in the right of way of the highway, which is legal and will definitely get your signs picked up and could get you fined. So again, definitely familiarize yourself with the Ethics Commission's guides on campaign finance and advertising. On the back side of the treasurer appointment form, it's a Form CTA from Texas Ethics Commission. There is a statement basically allowing for simplified reporting. And so if you're in a small race or in a small town and they recently raised the amounts on this, it used to be $500, but if you are not going to accept more than $900 in donations or make more than $900 in expenditures, you can sign the disclaimer on the back of the CTA form. And basically it allows you to follow simplified reporting. So you're not subject to all of the reporting dates.
Shannon, real quick, let me jump in and ask a quick question. So is that $900? Is that a typical amount that somebody would expect to spend on a mid-sized city council race, or does it really vary?
I mean, if you're running in a single, for instance, in Big Spring, if you're running in a single district, yeah, you could probably get away with $900. Running for mayor, no way, because you're trying to reach, in my case, a population of about 30,000. But here's the thing with that $900 limit is that you can sign up for that, and until you exceed that, you can follow modified reporting until that point on either contributions accepted or expenditures. So again, if you're not expecting to go over that, or if you sign up for it, you can follow the simplified reporting until you do go over it, and then at that point, you will have to file normally. There's a question that popped up. Is that $900 total during the filing period? That's $900 total for the campaign. From the date you file until election day and the post-election day reporting is the time frame for the $900 limit.
So Shannon, do you mind if I ask you some questions? In your personal experience, what were some of the biggest challenge? Like, when you first ran, what was your political experience before running for mayor? And just kind of fill us in on maybe some reservations we might have as new people trying to get involved, and some of the biggest challenges that you saw in your personal experience.
Well, my political experience prior to being elected as mayor in 19 was that I was an activist, a local activist. There were issues that came up over the years where basically I fought City Hall. I'd run several times in the past. This time I was successful at it. So some of the challenges from a candidate standpoint, one of the things I would recommend is really, know your community first and foremost. Know your constituents. Know what issues are important to them. We can talk, we can say taxes or theft all day long. And 99% of people will agree with us. The other 1% are in Washington right now. But the thing is, what really gets people's attention, at least in Big Spring, Texas, are bad streets and bad water. And so look at the issues that your community has, or that the entity you're running for has, and try to offer some solutions, and bottle those down and distill those down to as simplified and as fine a points as you can. You don't have to get overly detailed, but when I ran for mayor in 19, I bottled my campaign issues down to 5 items. And first and foremost was open, honest, transparent government. And who's against that on the public side? There are some politicians that might be against it. Right. But that's all the public wants, is somebody who'll talk to them, who'll let them know what's going on. And so, like I said, that was the first item on my list of 5. So, and backing up, I noticed Luke Troxell posted, that's not a filing fee. And at least, and I can't speak for other towns, at least in Big Spring, there is not a filing fee for any of the nonpartisan races. Because number one, you're not dealing with primaries. Every city does it a little differently. That's one of the good things and bad things about the way Texas handles towns over a population of about 5,000 people, is that you get into what we call home rule cities. So you've actually got a charter, which is a constitution for the city. And so filing fees, filing requirements are all set by the charter, and that can be different for every single city. So again, with regards to filing, refer to the city charter for the city you're filing in. School boards, I believe, are standardized across the state. I don't think there are any filing fees for school boards. I may be wrong. I've never run for school board. But like I said, getting back to the actual campaigning, first and foremost, pick your issues, squeeze them down, pick some key issues, and concentrate on those. And then after you got that figured out, then it's just a matter of getting your message out.
Awesome, Shannon. I appreciate that. We're gonna keep you on because we'll do a little Q&A at the end. We can answer some of these questions. I'm kind of keeping track of them here on the side, and so we'll answer some of those as the time comes. Right now, I'd like to actually hand it over to Jessi Cowart, who, hold on just a second. I apologize. Jessi is, there's a lot going on over here. Jessi was working on the Texans for Jorgensen campaign in 2020. She was a regional director for us. And she has really done a lot of the legwork necessary here in Montgomery County, where we're located, to research what offices are coming up for election this May and when certain terms expire, so that we know if you live in a certain municipality when you could possibly run if you're interested. And so I'm going to hand it over to her now and let her talk about some of the research she's done, and hopefully encourage some of the executive members for the Libertarian Party of Texas, and some of the county chairs and executive committee members in Texas to help your people in your local areas do this type of research and provide it to them. So Jessi, with no further ado, I'll turn it over to you.
All right. Thanks, Nathan. So thanks, Shannon, for giving us the lowdown on kind of your experiences as a candidate. So this is going to be more of how can you find the races where you might actually be a candidate, and really kind of geared towards, like Nathan said, the county chairs, county executive committees, to really kind of put together an elections opportunity database to identify all of the election opportunities in your county. That way you can present them to your county members and really start trying to drive some of your county members to go out and run elections in your county. As far as putting together the database, the format is, it doesn't matter. So what I'm going to show you, I've done in Google Sheets. Eventually, I think I'd like to kind of get this into a CRM type thing. So I don't know if that'll end up being, the civic CRM that I know is being rolled out from national, but what I've put together is something quick and dirty. You can do it in any format that you choose. And the way that I did this was that I leveraged a county website. So I went to the county, Montgomery County, Texas is where I live. So I went to the Montgomery County site. I tried to identify all the individual cities and townships that are in Montgomery County. So I used the county website search engines. And then most importantly, I used my county elections website. So I knew I needed to try to identify all of the municipal elections that were happening in May 2021. So I went to my county elections website and I said, well, gosh, I know that these are typically elected for 2-year terms. So if I go back and I look at the election results in the county for May 2019 and May 2017, looking at the odd number year elections, that's going to be a pretty good indicator of the elections that are going to be happening in May 21. So I'll walk you through that a little bit here in just a second. And like Shannon said, it's not just mayor and city council that's these municipal elections. So there are school board opportunities. There's multiple ISDs just in Montgomery County. Some of them are having their elections in May 21. Some of them are having their elections in November of 21. So that was part of the research that I did, is kind of understanding like what's happening in the near term, and then kind of starting to get my line of sight to what are the elections that are going to be happening later in the year as well. So school boards, and there are any number of MUDs, so your utility districts, your water districts, all of those utility districts, be they sometimes they're through a city, sometimes they're through a county, but they all have board members. And so they're all electing for those board members. So I'll share a little bit about what I put together. So I'm going to start sharing my screen now. If you'll give me just 1 second. All right. And can you guys just confirm you can see my screen okay? Nathan, all good? All right. So what I've got up here is my research. So I'm going to go to my summary page. So what I did was I went through, again, search engines, individual city or township websites, my Montgomery County elections website, and I identified all of the places where there was going to be having elections. So City of Conroe, no elections are this year. I've got Cut and Shoot. I know what positions are going to be coming up in Cut and Shoot, Magnolia, Montgomery, Oak Ridge North. And if you've never heard of these places, it's okay. They're all in Montgomery County, Texas. But understanding what places were going to be up for election, and then seeing which ones weren't going to be part of the May election, but the November election. So just to say it, there is some time and effort that goes into this, right? But the good news is once you do it, you'll never have to do it again. So county chairs, county executive committees, looking at you, you really need to take the time to put something together like this for your county and start to distribute that information to the folks in your party, in your county. That way we can start getting people into these municipal positions and start to affect change at the local level. So this is kind of the summary. So for mayor and city council positions in May, we've got 27 positions total that are open. For school boards. Again, I understand which ones are happening in May. I know which ones I'm going to be looking at in November. So we got a total of 5 positions on the May ballot. And then again, utility districts are just too numerous to mention. And so I've just kind of got a list to all of those. And I'm telling everyone in my county that I'd be happy to provide research assistance if they're interested in sitting on a utility district board.
And just looking at our chat list over here too, there's some Montgomery County folks in here. So pay attention to what cities have positions open, because we'll be calling you.
Yes. Absolutely. So this is kind of my summary page. And what I did was I just created a workbook in Google Sheets. You can do it in Excel. You can do it in Word. You can do it however you want. The format, again, it doesn't matter. However, it's going to make it easier for you to keep up with. And then I just have, you can see down here, I've got something for Conroe, Cut and Shoot, Magnolia. And I just went through and I looked at every single one of these municipalities to understand when they're having elections. So I'm going to use City of Oak Ridge North as my example. So for May, we've got positions 2, 4, and 5 open on the city council. So those are elected in odd years for 2-year terms, and then the mayor and council places 1 and 3 are elected for 2-year terms in even number years. I've got the notes on when the meetings are. So for Oak Ridge North, meetings are scheduled the 2nd, 4th Mondays of every month. I've got all of the information, and I want to highlight, and Shannon mentioned this a little bit ago, your city secretary. Your city secretary is going to be your best friend as your candidate. So if you have any questions about where to find any of the documentation, if you have questions about the documentation, your city secretary is going to be your point of contact. So find out who your city secretary is. If it's not a city secretary, it's probably a city manager. So you can do that by a quick Google search. For example, if you were to type in City of Oak Ridge North City Secretary, you're going to get some results that return Elizabeth Harrell. So just keep that in mind, that person is a resource to you. And then know where your people in your county live. So for example, and you can see why I chose Oak Ridge North, because I am in Oak Ridge North, as well as my husband and another member of the Montgomery County Libertarian Party. So know where your folks are and start to kind of try to get an idea of where you might be able to get people to run and get libertarians in office. And like Shannon said, you don't have to run as a libertarian per se, right? These are nonpartisan races. So you don't necessarily have to print up signs that say Libertarian Jessi Cowart or anything. You're just, Jessi Cowart for city council, and you get that get the information out there. I was talking to someone the other day who got a city council position, and they said that they didn't even tell anyone that they were a libertarian until they were elected. And since they've been elected, they've gotten 2 other city council members to join the Libertarian Party. So take it for what it is. I want to talk a little bit about the elections website that I mentioned being a resource. So I'm going to go ahead and real quickly stop sharing and switch over to another screen. And this is the Montgomery County elections website. So what I was talking about using this website for is, again, just helping you identify all the municipalities. And I'll tell you myself, as I was going through this, trying to build my database for Montgomery County, there were like small municipalities that I'd never even heard of. I mean, Montgomery County is a pretty large county. I'm sure some of you live in large counties too. So identifying all of those individual cities and townships can be somewhat challenging, and your county elections website will make that a lot easier for you. And I'm about to show you how. So I'm on the Montgomery County elections website. Again, this isn't going to look the same for every county, but generally every county is going to have an elections website, and they're going to have an area where they have election results. So I'm going to go to Montgomery County election results. And I'm going to click on that, and it's going to come up any second now. All right, so while we're waiting on my system to stop clocking, so what we'll be able to do is kind of drill down to the results from odd numbered years, right? So we're in 2021, odd number year. I want to find election results for 2019 and 2017. And the reason that I recommend going back, more than one election cycle is that for some of these municipal positions, they go uncontested. And if they're uncontested, if all of those positions are uncontested, they technically don't have to put it on the ballot. So, for example, in 2019, I don't even think the city of Oak Ridge was on the Montgomery County ballot because all of those council positions ran uncontested. So I do recommend you going back at least 1 to 2 election cycles to make sure that you get a full scope of the municipalities in your county. So for example, if I go to 2019, I can see that there were a number of different elections in 2019. I'm looking at the May 2019 election. And then I can see not only some of the propositions through here, Montgomery County ISD trustee, boom, there's a school board position. So I know that for Montgomery County ISD trustee, that was position 6. It was position 7. So I know that those are going to be up again in 2021. City of Magnolia, council position. So use this for your county to really help drive what you're looking at and putting that together. And then bump that up against the city website. Just to give you an idea of effort, I think Nathan and I kind of tag teamed this, and I would say that me personally, I think I spent 2 hours on this, kind of spread out like 3 different nights. So I think I'd say probably all told, I put between 5 and 10 hours of effort into this, probably closer to 5, more like 5.
That was definitely an hour's worth of effort.
Yeah. So, so again, it does take some time to do this. If you have more than one person working on it, county chairs, get your executive committees engaged in this, divide and conquer, and you can build out this database and get a good frame of reference for the different races that are going to be in your area. But again, I would say definitely go back at least an election cycle or 2, or at least 2 election cycles to make sure that you capture those that maybe were uncontested for any reason in 2019. I'm going to stop sharing this screen again, if you'll give me just a second. And I'm going to pull up the elections website for my city, which is Oak Ridge North. Just one second. All right. So City of Oak Ridge North, they have an elections page, and this goes over all of the eligibility. So Shannon mentioned that in the city charter, they're going to have, specifics about what drives the eligibility. So City of Oak Ridge North on their elections website, and I'll make this a little bit bigger for you guys because you probably can't see it that well. There we go. So this talks about, what elections are happening in even numbered, odd number years. And it talks about the eligibility. So you have to be at least 18. You have to be a citizen. You have to have resided within the corporate limits of Oak Ridge North for at least 1 year preceding the election. Those are the types of things that you're going to need to know before you run for one of those positions. And then it goes on with election resources. Again, know who your city manager is. That person is going to be an invaluable resource to you. And they should have some details about the deadlines to file the application. They should have an election calendar. This is pretty simple. That'll pretty much give all the dates that were in the top of the deck. But basically the bottom line is that the deadline to apply is February 12th. So make sure you know what your city's hours of operation are. So if you need to be there by 5 p.m. and have that application in by 5 p.m. on February 12th, you know what is the drop dead date and time for you to get that application in. And just so you know, as far as designating your campaign treasurer, you can do that at the same time as you file the application if you want to, but there is a separate deadline for the designating the campaign treasurer. So it'll give you the important dates, early voting, locations and times, polling location by precinct. Not every city is going to have this broken out in this much detail. There are some very small municipalities where you may actually have to call the city secretary to get this information because it's just not readily available. I just happen to live in a city where they are very forthcoming and transparent with this information. What Shannon mentioned also is a candidate packet. So City of Oak Ridge North has that too. So the candidate packet, and I'll have to stop sharing and reshare again. So this candidate packet that they have for Oak Ridge North says, here's the election date, here are the members, the council member positions that are up, and it will go through all of the important dates. It actually includes the application, it includes the CTA form for the campaign treasurer. All that good stuff is all in this packet. And this says no later than 5 p.m. on February 12th for me in Oak Ridge North, and that there is no filing fee. So if you have any questions about that, and generally there's not going to be a filing fee, but if you just want to kind of dot your I's and cross your T's, call your city secretary and they will let you know for sure. So this is just kind of an example of a candidate packet that you might pick up.
That would be awesome if every city had something like that, wouldn't it?
I know, right? Yep. All right. So kind of taking that, going back, looking at that county elections website, going through and just Googling City of Oak Ridge North, City of Panorama Village, City of Patton Village, getting the information about who is the incumbent, then you can actually call that city secretary and say, hey, I know that the application's opened on January 13th. Can you tell me if anyone is filed for mayor, city council position 1 or city council position 5? Get information. Try to find out whether there are people who are running unopposed, or if nobody has actually put their name forward for that position at all, and try to be strategic that way. I would say, like I'll give you an example here. This isn't someone who is running, their position isn't open for 2021, but this is the mayor pro tem. So the mayor pro tem is basically the person who acts as mayor in the event that the mayor can't attend the meeting. May not be the best council position to run against, right? So again, just kind of be strategic about what you're picking, and try to find out if there's a position where nobody is running at all, and certainly if if there's one that's running unopposed, and then kind of do your research on those council members and try try to be strategic in what you pick. So I've done a lot of talking. I'm going to pause there and stop sharing my screen. Nathan, questions that were coming through while I was talking?
So we didn't have any questions come through there, but I don't want to take anybody, too much of everybody's time. So I'm going to move really quickly on to Cara Schultz and introduce her really quickly as and let her present the information that she has for us. Cara, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
There you are.
So my name is Cara Schultz, and I work for the Libertarian Party National. And what I do is I recruit and I also train and support candidates across the country through the Libertarian Party. I also sit on city council in my city. We are a suburb of the Twin Cities. Our seats are all at large. So when you run, you're running in an area that's larger than if you ran for state senate or state rep. So it's a challenging run. Fortunately, got my re-election this year, so I'm good for another 4 years. They can't get rid of me for a while longer. They're stuck. So that gives a little bit of my background. If you could flip on over to my slide. There we go. Okay, so we're going to go through some of the resources that the Libertarian Party has for candidates and campaign teams. First of all, if you are running for office, and it doesn't matter if it is a partisan office or not, if you are a member of the Libertarian Party, either national or your state party, and you are running for office, I would ask you to fill out the information sheet on your run so that we have your information on your run. Donors do look at that. You get listed on the national website. Donors do look for people running for office. And we do have donors that have a particular interest in whatever niche you can imagine. So some of our donors are very interested in people who are running for municipal elections that are nonpartisan, like that's their sweet spot. So please fill that out. And you'll need to email me for the password because we password protect that so that someone else isn't making up stuff about you, so that we know it's you. Also, if you want to get onto my radar, you can go to lp.org/run, and there's a run for office form. And why would you ever want to fill that out? Why you want to fill that out is it's going to automatically give you a bunch of these resources and you don't even have to ask. The first thing that it's going to do is it's going to give you a link to a downloadable candidate workbook. So this is a workbook that I created, and it's in fill in the blank form, and it should take you through beginning to end on how to run for office. You'll be able to calculate your win number. You'll be able to calculate how many man hours and volunteers will I need to knock on X number doors. So it's going to walk you all through that. So that's what you're going to get immediately. The other thing that it's going to do is every 2 weeks, you're going to get an email from me. We call it a newsletter, but it's a glorified email because I keep it very short because I know candidates and campaign teams are busy. And what it has is it tells about upcoming training that I do every 2 weeks. I do online training. It's short, 20 minutes, you're done, on a particular area of running a campaign. Like the one we just did and I uploaded, we just did that Wednesday night. That was on your pre-launch checklist. What should you have done before you do your public launch? So it has a lot of information like that. So you'll find that out in the newsletter. It'll say, this is the training coming up. Here's the time. Here's how to join. In case you missed it, here was the training the previous week and the link to the YouTube so that you can watch it at your leisure. It'll also have maybe links to some couple articles or other pieces of information that you may find valuable. So you automatically will be able to have that. So yes, we also do that online training. So that's every other Wednesday. That's online. We keep it to that, try to keep it to that 20-minute mark. And I bring different campaign experts on to talk about a very small, specific area of campaigning, and to explain that. And then at the end, there's a Q&A, and you can get your questions answered. I do have that YouTube channel that we archive all of our training onto, so you can peruse that. We have many videos loaded on there, and we'll still keep having them go there. We also have a candidate only area of the website, and when you hit that run for office and tell me that you're thinking about running for office, it sends you the password to that as well. So there's articles on there. There's also videos on there as well that are specific to libertarians running for office. Also, you get one-on-one calls with me. I put my number out there. You know, people are like, really? You put your cell phone number out there? Yes, I do. Number one, as an elected official, my cell phone number is out there for everyone. Like, that's the law in Minnesota. There you go. And so I figure, you know, well, what the heck, right? You know, what's the worst that could happen? Crazy libertarians call me drunk at 3 a.m. Like, that would happen? Yes, that does happen.
Quite possible.
But yeah. But you can call, or, you know, and I do take in a lot of calls. So sometimes if you text me first and say, I have a question, do you have time? We can do a one-on-one call. And if it's something that I can't get you the answer to, or I think someone else has a better answer, can better answer your question, I'm going to hook you up with a person that is phenomenal in that area to answer your question. We also have eCanvasser, which is a door knocking app, data management door knocking app. So if you are going to be doing door knocking and you have more than a couple hundred doors, that's something you might want to do. And LP has done a contract with eCanvasser, and so our candidates get it at a pretty steeply discounted rate. So that's something that is available to you. And the nice thing about eCanvasser is when you get done with your campaign, you can download all of your data. So all of the people who were friendly, gave you the warm fuzzies, wanted a yard sign, all that kind of stuff, that's now data that you have, and you can use for future campaigns, or you can use for recruiting to the party, or, you know, whatever that is. So that's valuable information that you can then keep. Yes, and yes, LP Texas has their candidate interest form, absolutely. And ours is just the lp.org one. So yeah. Very important prospective candidates to let people know you are thinking about running for office. Don't hide that under a bushel. Let it shine, right? Let it shine all the time. Okay. The really exciting thing that's coming up is we're going to be having regional training. So LP National is looking to do this in each region, and we're looking to do this on every odd year. On the even year, we'll have this type of training at the National Convention. But in the odd years, we're going to be bringing it out to each region. It's going to be a 2-day boot camp. It's going to be an intensive type of training that I don't think the LP has ever rolled out for state affiliates. It will have 2 main tracks of training. One is for candidates and campaign teams. So 2 days solid of that. The other track is for state affiliate leaders, so that they can do their job to the best of their ability. So if you're a political director, you'll get political director training. If you are membership, you'll get membership training. See? Some of those classes will be together, because how you recruit volunteers for a campaign is very similar to how you recruit and maintain your volunteers for an affiliate. There will be, depending on your region and flight costs and that kind of stuff, up to 5 trainers doing this training on the weekend. And so there'll probably be like 3 classes going on at the same time the entire 2 days. So it will be like crazy, amazing, wonderful information. In case you can't tell, I'm excited about it just a little bit. So once a region, and I have the link under there for it, because we're fundraising it for it, right? There's no such thing as a free lunch. There is no such thing as a free lunch. But once your region hits 3,000 in donations, you get scheduled, and we get everything set to host your training. So we're doing it very economically for for what we're doing, because we want it to be free for the attendees, because we want as many attendees there, because they're already going to incur the cost of traveling to it, right? Texas in Region 7, you right now are 15% funded, and we just launched this, I think like a week ago. Just started fundraising a week ago for this. So there are 3 or 4 regions ahead of you in fundraising. So just letting you know that. But good start, like seriously, good start. So if you are interested in this type of training, get the buzz out about it, tell people about it, tell other candidates and campaign teams about it, your friends and other state affiliates, that kind of thing. Because this type of really solid training that we can build on, and the networking that can go on within your region and doing something like this is how we're gonna kick butt. That's how we're gonna do this. That's how we're gonna build our bench and just get our candidates elected and get them experience and move them up the ladder and kick the crap out of the 2 old parties. So there you go.
Awesome, Cara. Thank you so much. And I want to go back to the fact that you put out your phone number. Speaking to all 3 of our panelists here, especially Cara and Shannon, they didn't know that we were doing this until I don't know, 36 hours ago, maybe maybe a day and a half ago. And here they are giving us an hour and a half of their evening. They are available to anybody that is wanting to get involved and run for office. So I appreciate you guys doing this. I want to open up the panel. I want to unmute everybody's mic here, except Jessi, just for a moment. If somebody asks you a question, I'll unmute yours, just because there's a little bit of feedback between us. I want to ask some of the questions. I don't know if you guys have seen this here. The first question I want to go back to was for the panelists from Donovan Pankey. How does the party and candidates tend to treat media outlets? Are things like press releases valuable? And do you have any pointers on interacting with media that would be useful? So I will open that up to any of you guys that want to take a stab at that.
So press releases, absolutely. You should do press releases. But your press release should be about something newsworthy. Right? So, sometimes you can connect it to something topical that is happening, an issue that you're passionate about, and there's something topical happening, and you can tie that in and you can do a press release. And sometimes they'll just take a snippet of it and they'll put it in the news article as if they interviewed you. They didn't. They're lazy. That's okay. All of us like help in our jobs. So if you make a reporter's job easy, they're going to cover you. My one piece of advice, like if I can only give one piece of advice for you're going to do a media interview, right? Never grant an interview, give a performance. There's a difference in power there. When you're granting an interview, that means you've handed over all power to the reporter and you are in a reactionary stance. When you give a performance, that means you are very set about the points that you want to get across, and you will make sure you get those points across. You will always redirect, and that's why when you see people who give quite a few, are on the news quite a bit, you'll see when they get asked questions, they will say things like, I think perhaps you meant to ask blah, 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 blah. No, that isn't what they asked. It isn't. But that person is giving a performance and they are getting their point across and they are controlling the interview. They are not being controlled. So give a performance.
Great. And then another question here, I think this is specifically for you, Cara, was that how was the training, the regional training, being announced, and is there a cap on attendance? I imagine you're using every resource available to you to announce it, right?
Yes. So we just did our soft rollout. The next thing that we're doing is we are talking to the regional reps so that they have the information and that they can help champion it. And we'll be talking with our state chairs. We're getting the information out through email, it's going to be on social media, all that kind of stuff. So yeah, we're going to be putting that information out about the regional trainings and all of the awesomeness that will be happening. Now, what was the other part of the question?
Would there be a cap on attendance for those regional trainings? Is there a maximum amount of people that will be able to attend the training?
We do not want there to be a cap on attendance. So we are asking our regional reps to work with our state chairs to find a good location, and the host state will be the one that comes up with a really good location, like a good location where you can have, a lot of attendees and be able to have the event. So that's what we're looking at doing, but we don't want to have to cap it. We did a test run of the regional training in Region 6 in 2019. And we did do a cap on that one because A, it was a test, and B, we were trying to be very careful with funds to do a test on something like this. And so the response from that was overwhelming to the point where we were like, okay, this is what we're doing, and we're going to roll it out and go forward. So if anyone has questions over, was this decent or not, I would talk to someone from Region 6, because the only negative comment we got on the training was, I wish it was longer. And it was like a day and a quarter. They said they wished it was longer, a little more networking time. So we're going to incorporate more networking time into it. But that was really it. And I mean, if that's the only complaints you get from libertarians, because we like to complain, pretty dang good.
Done a good job.
Yeah, I was like, hey, yeah.
All right, so let's wrap this up. I just want to open it back up to Jessi or Shannon. Do you have any parting thoughts before we close things down? I don't have any other questions coming in. Do you guys have any parting thoughts for us?
Well, I would say, if you have any misgivings or any hesitation about doing it, just bite the bullet and get after it. Because honestly, speaking as somebody who was on the outside looking in and who now is kind of on the inside looking out, as an elected official, you're never prepared for it. I mean, when I ran in 19, I thought it would be, pretty easy going, and most of my time would be cutting ribbons and chairing meetings. And then here comes COVID-19, and I'm in the position of emergency management director, and trying to fight the governor's office, and equal sides that say we want mask mandates, we don't want mask mandates, and dodging bullets left and right. So, like I said, it's never what you think it will be. The best bit of advice I can give you, like I said, trim your message down, make it sellable, and also absolutely do not discount the effect of going and knocking on somebody's door. That is the absolute best campaigning you can do. It's the most time consuming, but it will get you votes, and it's cheaper than anything else, really.
Awesome. Thank you, Shannon. And Jessi, the final word before I wrap things up here.
I would just say you're going to get out of it whatever you put into it. So I know the data mining and doing all of that research, it seems tedious and cumbersome, but again, you'll never have to do it again. And it's really going to benefit your party for years to come. So just take the time, divvy it up, and do that research, get that database built out, and then go to work.
Awesome. And if I can kind of convey a final message to everybody that's watching this, that most of you guys are involved in the party in some form or fashion and volunteering. It's time to get to work. It's time to, less talk, more action. And I would love to encourage everybody that is in any sort of leadership capacity to do the type of stuff that Jessi did and put the data together and then share it with the people in your network, share it with your community, share it with your county, your city, and find the people or be the people that are going to run and fill these offices, and connect with the resources that we have here, people like Cara, and voices of experience like Shannon as well. Reach out to them and make those connections. And as Spike says, let's get out there and win this thing, right? So thank you guys. I appreciate all three of you guys being on here. And I hope you all have a great evening. Thank you very much.
Very welcome, Nathan. We'll see you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.